Okay, so yesterday we read, and they were back from Birmingham. And what happened? What was Kenneth doing? What was Kenneth doing? A summary, Tyler.
Kenneth was sitting behind the couch.
Kenneth was sitting behind the couch.
He was depressed.
Okay, we inferred that he was yesterday that he was feeling depressed. Did anyone who found him that he was hiding behind the couch? Byron did. And did Byron tell anybody?
No.
Yes.
No.
Christian, why do you say yes?
Well, I think, in the story, I think I remember him telling the parents. That's why sometimes they spend time on the couch, and I can't really explain it, but, yes, he has told something.
No.
Yes, he has.
He did. Yep, he is. Okay. Yep, we're reading we're about to finish it. Okay, so what happened yesterday was we don't know that Byron told, but what Kenneth said is he felt like he was inferring that Byron told because the parents started talking differently on the couch.
Yes.
So Christian is correct. They never said that that he told, but we infer that he told, or Kenneth did, because they started talking different. Started, praising him and talking about him. All right. So the last thing we said, that Byron was showing him his black hair coming out of his chin. Okay? This made me wonder about my mustache. I hadn't looked at it for a long time and thought it might be pretty long by now. I climbed up on the toilet, leaned over the sink to see. Maybe it was because I hadn't looked in the mirror for a long time, but as soon as I saw myself with my lazy eyes still being lazy and my face looking so sad, I slammed my eyes shut and started crying. I even fell off the toilet. Byron caught me and set me on the floor. He knew this was some real embarrassing stuff, so he closed the bathroom door and sat on the tub and waited for me to stop. But I couldn't. I felt like someone had pulled a plug on me and fire somewhere, and as if there was a forest fire somewhere. All Smokey the Bear could have done was hold me upside down over it, and the fire wouldn't have a chance. Byron sat next to me on the floor and put my head in his lap. I still couldn't stop, even though I was soaking him worse than Joey ever drooled on anybody. It was real embarrassing. I'm sorry, Bye. Shut up and cry if you want. That sounded like a real good idea, so I did. I think I cried for about 200 hours. Why would they do that, Byron? I was sounding real bad. My throat was jumping around in my neck and making a bunch of weird noises. Why would they hurt some little kids like that? He waited a long time before he answered. I don't know, Kenny. Mama and Dad say they can't help themselves. They did it because they're sick. But I don't know. I ain't never heard of no sickness that makes you kill little girls just because you don't want them in your school. I don't think they're sick at all. I think they just let hate eat them up and turn them into monsters. But it's okay now. They can't hurt you here. It's all right. My Adam apples felt like it was going to blow a hole in my throat. But I said, I did go to that church, Bye. I saw what happened. I saw 2 of those little girls. I thought Joey got killed too. We all did, Kenny. There ain't nothing wrong with being sad or scared about that. I'm sad about it too. I got real scared too. But, man, no one's going to hurt you here, Kenny. Bye-bye. I tried to think how to say it. I'm not scared. I'm just real ashamed of myself. That was it. That was the main thing I finally found out from being a patient in the world-famous Watson Pet Hospital. Kenny, you ain't got nothing to be ashamed of. But you don't know what happened, Byron. You don't know what I did. Man, everybody cried. Mama was crying. Dad was scared. He cried too. That was some real scary stuff. That was some real sad stuff. He still didn't understand. Byron, I left Joey. I thought the wool poo had her, and instead of fighting him like you did, I left. I ran from him. How come you were brave enough to fight him, and all I could do was run? All I could have saved was a shoe, a stupid, ripped up shoe. I couldn't stop crying. Oh man, you ain't gonna start talking wool poo mess again, are you? I told you the wool poo was some made up garbage. I told you the only one I was fighting in that water was your stupid little behind. I wasn't no one in that water but you and me. That's what you think, Bob, but I know better. I've seen him twice. I couldn't believe Byron was still talking to me. Most of the time, if I started sounding weepy and whiny, he'd take right off. Look, Kenny, if you don't quit talking that wool poo nonsense, I'm going to leave you in here to cry all alone. There ain't no such thing as a wool poo. Then he stopped sounding so mean and said, and there ain't no such thing as magic powers neither. I was surprised he'd brought up the magic powers. You think I don't know why you've been hanging out behind the couch? He grabbed my ear and twisted my head until I had to look at him. You think I don't know you waiting for some stupid magic powers or genies or an angel to make you feel better? Dig this. You can't wait behind that couch for the rest of your life, and ain't no magic powers going to come back there and make you feel nothing. Only thing that's going to happen back there is that you're going to stunt your growth for being in a little ball all day. He pulled my ear to make sure I was listening. If you've been spending so much time thinking about how you didn't save Joey, why don't you stop and think about why she wasn't in that church? Why don't you spend some time thinking about who it was that led her away? But it wasn't me, Byron. I never. Man, shut up and listen. He twisted my ear to make me be quiet. Ain't no genies in this world, Kenny. Ain't no magic powers. There ain't even no angels not in this neighborhood anyway. Man, I just don't get you. You're supposed to be the one who's so smart. How can you believe in something as stupid as magic powers and genies living behind a couch, but not believe it was part of you that took Joey out of that church? Byron started throwing me curveballs. If you hadn't been born, who would have took her away from that bomb? No one. If you hadn't been born and she walked out of that hot church and saw some stranger waving at her from across the street, you think she would have followed him? Heck no. She'd have gone right back in there. If you hadn't been born, who would have gone in that church to see if Joey really was in there? Me and Mom and Dad were all too scared. You were the only one brave enough to go in there. Every time he made a point, he twisted my ear to make me understand better. But Byron, it's just not fair. What about those other kids? You know they had brothers and sisters and mamas and daddies who loved them just as much as we love Joey. How come no one came and got them out of the church? How? It's fair. How's it fair? How come their relatives couldn't come and warn them? Byron let go of my ear and thought for a second. Kenny, things ain't ever going to be fair. How's it fair that two grown men could hate blacks so much that they'd kill some kids just to stop them from going to school? How's it fair that even though the cops down there might know who did it, nothing will probably ever happen to those men? It ain't. But you just got to understand that that's the way it is and keep on stepping. Byron let me sniff and wipe my hand across my eyes before he slid my head back into the linoleum and stood up. He went over and got some toilet paper and wiped my tears and my boogers off his legs. Then he let a couple of sheets of toilet paper float down and landed on me and said, "Blow your nose, wash your face. You've been behind that couch long enough. It's about time you cut this mess out. Mom and Dad are beginning to think your little behind is seriously on the blink. Today is the day you're checking out of that world-famous Watson Pet Hospital. Don't let me catch you back there no more. You ain't got no cause to be ashamed or scared of nothing. You smart enough to figure this out. yourself. Besides, you getting the word from the top wolf himself. You're gonna be all right, baby bruh. I swear for God. He walked over to the mirror and scrunched his face up so he could look at his chin again. Then used his thumb and finger to pull that long, skinny black hair out a little bit. He let the hair go, smiled at himself, and ran his hands along his head like he was brushing his hair. Shoot, he said. I sure wish someone would come clean and tell me who my real folks was. There just ain't no way in heck two people as ugly as your mama and daddy could ever have a child as fine as me. He blew himself a kiss in the mirror and left the bathroom. Before he shut the door, I could see that Mama and Daddy and Joey were standing there in the little knot trying not to let me know that they were eavesdropping. Mama whispered, What's going on, Ba? Why was Kenny crying like that? Is he okay? He told her, Kenny's gonna be cool. He's related to me, ain't he? Byron Watson, how many times have I got to tell you about saying the word ain't? Some of the time, it was hard to figure Byron out. He was very right about some things, and he was very wrong about some things. He was very wrong when he said the wool poo was something he'd made up. If he'd ever had his ankle grabbed by it, he'd know it was real. If he'd seen the way it was crouched down, crawling around in the dust and the smoke of the church in Birmingham, he'd know it wasn't some made-up garbage. If he'd ever seen those horrible toes, he'd know the wool poo was as serious as a heart attack. He was also very wrong about there not being anything like magic powers or genies or angels. Maybe those were weren't the things that could make a run over dog walk without wobbling, but they were out there. Maybe they were in the way the Father smiled at you, even after you messed up real bad. Maybe they were in a way that you understood that your mother wasn't trying to make you the laughing stock of the whole school when she'd call you over in front of a bunch of your friends and you spit on her finger to wipe the sleep out of your eyes. Maybe it was the magic that let you know that she was just being a mama. Maybe they were the reasons that you really didn't care when the kids would say, Yuck, you let your mama slob on you and you had to say, Shut up, that's my mama. We got the same germs. Maybe they were genies in the way your sister would throw a stupid tea party for you, and you had fun even though it was kind of embarrassing to sit at a little table and sip water out of plastic teacups. Maybe there were magic powers hiding on the way your older brother made all the worst thugs in the neighborhood play basketball with you, even though you double dribbled every day they threw you the ball. And I'm sure there was an angel in Birmingham when Grandma Sands wrapped her little arms around all the weird Watsons and said, My family, my beautiful, beautiful family. I climbed up to the toilet, leaned over the sink to take a look. I smiled. Byron was right about some things too. He was very right when he said I was too smart to be believing magic powers lived behind a couch. He also knew that he was talking about when he said I was going to be all right. Joetta banged on the bathroom door. Kenny, Byron said you're feeling much better now. If that's right, come on out. I got to go to the bathroom real bad, she said. Real like it was a million letters in it. Some of the time, I wonder if there really was something wrong with me. A few minutes ago, I'd been crying on the floor like a kindergarten baby. And now I was looking in the mirror laughing. I blew my nose and splashed a little water on my face because I wanted to go out. Besides, I had to think of a way to get at least half of my dinosaurs back from Rufus. Come on in, Joey. So that's the end. All right. So you notice at the beginning what happened with the mirror and what Byron, what was he doing? He kissed it and his lips got stuck. And then at the end, what did he do in the mirror? He blew himself a kiss. So we know Byron really likes himself, don't we?
Wait, is that the end of the story?
That's the end. Also, Byron, even though he was a bully and all that stuff, he always seemed to help, didn't he? He always seemed to help. Karen, pull your mask up.
So this is basically Byron's.
He always seemed to help. Now, Kenneth Why do you think Kenneth started crying like that? What kind of inference can we make there? Why was he crying like so hard? What was happening? What was happening, Christian? Sadie.
Because he was upset that he looked like the way he did.
No.
Because after everything he's done, sitting behind the couch and everything else, I think that he, I guess, was out of it.
Kayla, pull your mask up and stop talking. Close your computer.
He couldn't believe that he had sat behind the couch and cried and
I think
was depressed.
I think he was letting out so much emotion. He had been bottled up. Have you ever bottled up something so much, and then all of a sudden it just came bursting out? And maybe it's crying. Maybe it comes out as anger. Maybe it comes out as some other emotion. But when you hold your emotions in, eventually they come out and it just explodes. If it's tears or if it's anger or whatever kind of emotion it might be, I think he was holding in what he saw for so long, and it made him so sad that he finally just cried. And once he cried and got all that emotion out, how did he feel?
Good, right?
He felt a lot better. Yes.
It's like he was holding this ball of because he thought his sister got really bad hurt, and then he thought he was going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so he was holding all that sadness, anger, and all of his feelings, and when he let it out, he felt much better.
Right, he did. He felt a lot better. Tyler.
I heard of this thing, like you're saying, like if you need to let out anger. I heard of this thing. I think it's called a rage room. Well, need to punch something.
I've never heard of that, but when my son was probably around your age, he would get really mad sometimes. Or when he was younger, he used to get really mad and punch stuff or whatever. So I bought him a punching ball and a punching bag, and I said, you need to be punching this. So a lot of times people will exercise. They work out their frustrations that way through exercise. People may run or, use a boxing, something like that to work out frustrations. Walk, meditate, do yoga, do something to try to relax yourself, take deep breaths, whatever it is, to try to get your mind off of that.